people like it.
Before I branched
Smash
out,
the like button, guys. Thank you.
before I branched out on my own, I did actually join a local school called Wushu Quan.
Oh wow.
Yeah, right. It was
in Barbados.
Yeah. Which Quan, Wushu Quan is the school of Wushu, the school of Chinese martial art, right?
Right.
Or a school of national art, and I think it was brought to the island by a local guy who had gone to school, gone to college, gone to university in England, where he trained in it, and then he brought it back home. Yeah, and
nice.
and it built from there. So I didn't last very long though.
Was this before? This was before you got involved with JKD, right, or after? You were exposed to the
This
vibe?
was simultaneous.
Oh wow, that's poor Wushu.
Right? Wait, let me think.
You must be rebelling against everything.
This was yes, I was involved with Jeet Kune Do, but on my own.
Gotcha. Okay.
I hadn't met Inosano yet.
Right.
I did all this before I met Inosano. Right. But I was
studying it.
Yeah, and I wasn't easy to get along with because I had a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Right? Because Bruce Lee said so for example, I go, Bruce Lee says that you should have like 10 different ways to train your kick. You should kick the bag, you should kick the air, you should kick a tree, you should kick the right, and we don't have any equipment at this school, right? So because everything was done in the air.
Right, exactly.
Right. So
you really absorbed a lot of the principles of Jeet Kune Do even before you fully dove into it. You were already kind of applying the principles.
Yeah, before inside. See, the thing about getting the airline job, right? Which is why to this day I'm loyal, so to speak, to my memories of Eastern Airlines, because without Eastern Airlines, right, I would not have become who I am. Yeah. Without Dan Inosano, I would not have become who I am. Right. Right. Without Dan Kennedy, I would not have become who I am. Right. Eastern Airlines. I was put on furlough at one point, and I had made friends with some people in Seattle, and so I moved to Seattle because that's where Bruce Lee was buried. Yeah. Right. So that's if I remember correctly, because it's so.
How long was that decision? I'm curious about that. How long did it take you to go from Seattle, blah, 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 and then go? Like, how long was that decision to move? Like, how long did it take you to make the decision?
Not that long.
Not that long.
No,
right?
No, because what we knew was that some beam counter at headquarters in Miami had determined. I'm just going to express it this way, but then. If somebody in Barbados who worked at Eastern with me, ever sees this, they might go, he's full of crap. That's not But here's how I remember it. Some bean counter determined that the head count at the Barbados office was off by like 0.4 of a person. So they could recoup some kind of losses if they laid me off for 3 months and then brought me back. That's how I remember.
That's insane.
I could be dead wrong. Yeah. All I know is, very quickly I was on a plane to Seattle.
3-month training trip.
And from my bedroom window in Seattle, this is how funny life is. From my bedroom window in Seattle, I watched them over the 3 months that I was there. I watched them build the first 2 Boeing 757s.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, and they were Eastern Airlines planes. Yeah,
that's nuts.
Right? Yeah. And while I was in Seattle, I never got to hang with Taki Kimura. See, because this is 1980, so I still hadn't met Inosano.
Right.
So I still didn't know as much as I should have known. But my friend there, she knew a guy who had spent some time. The Bruce Lee thing was familiar to her for some. So I ended up doing a few classes with the guy. I believe his name was Michael Lee, right? And I believe he was Jesse Glover's little brother.
No way.
I think.
Jesse Glover's little brother. That's pretty cool.
I think that's what it was. but so I did a few classes there. You know, I kept my running going. Yeah.
Tacky, great guy, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, that's where I took my first picture at Bruce Lee's gravesite, right? So you know, you can
Google it.
I don't think that one's online, but me with my afro and what have you,
Yeah.
right? But what happened was then every year on July 20th, I went back to Seattle. 1980. Well, I wasn't there in July. I was there during 1980, but not in July. But July of 1981, July of 1982, right? I was there every year, 20th of July. But then in 1983, here's what I said to myself: Dwight, you can only get so far paying respects to the deceased source of Jeet Kune Do. If you want to get further, you have to seek out the living source.
Mm-hmm.
And the living source pointed, for me, to Dan Inosanto.
Interesting.
Right? And like I was telling you earlier, at that camp, he was teaching Kali. But I had seen a magazine article, and it had said that the Filipino martial arts was now part of the JKD curriculum. So somehow I even though I might not have made the conscious decision, I kind of knew that I was probably gonna. I don't know.
This was your home.
Yeah, I knew it without knowing it.
Yeah.
Right, because when I went that way, I didn't have any intention to keep going to see Dan Inosanto. I just wanted to get my feet wet.
Right.
Right. But here's what happened. I went. I did my week with him. Then I did my week with Francis Fong, and then I fly back home, and I'm just like, I can't do this. So I get home and I talk to my supervisor, and I work a couple of days so I could arrange to get like 5 more days off. And I called Jay D'Amato, right, who was the guy running the camp, and I go, Jay, how much would you charge me if I come back out? He goes, Dwight, you did us such an honor coming all the way from Barbados, right? If you can get back out here, I won't charge you anything.
Wow.
So I went back out for another few days. Right, and I took 12, I think, because I made like 12 new friends. I took 12 Barbados souvenir T-shirts or something like that. Because it was I was kind of what's novelty, because the week before I got there, some guys had come out from Connecticut.
Yeah.
So they thought that was impressive.
Yeah.
You know, right? From one side of the U.S. to the other side. Then the skinny black kid shows up. Where are you from? Where is that? What part of Jamaica is that? No, not really. And again, if I remember correctly, there was a map of the world in one of the rooms at the dorms. This was UFC Irvine. Barbados was not on the map.
What?
I swear to you. It was not on the map.
Jeez. That's insane.
So somebody said to me, you know, oh well, how did you hear? How did you hear it? I go, well, we live in grass huts and we wear grass skirts, but we get Black Belt magazine.
Yeah, we get Black Belt magazine. So.
Right. So that's how. Yeah.
That's insane. That's insane. What a journey. That's a serious. I mean, so man, it's almost like you started this JKD path like in 1980 almost, right? And then met Inosanto in 83, was it? 84?
No,
86.
I don't. Gosh, see, because it's
almost like your pre-JKD training started. Right. Something clicked, something connected, and made you go into it.
The thing that connected was The Big Boss, and The Big Boss was released in 1970.
Interesting. So the movie,
right? Yeah.
What made you stick? What?
Because, like I told you earlier, it was different.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't flashy like the other guys.
Right.
But even against my will, because I was a big Shaolin guy, right? I was a big look. My heroes at the time were Chen Quan Tai.
Oh wow!
Right, Alexander Fusheng, right, and Chi Quan Chun. Okay, Chen Sing was kind of he was okay, but Chen Quan Tai was my boy.
Yeah.
Right. So movies like Men from the Monastery, the 5 Shaolin Masters, right? I mean, if you look that stuff up,
Yeah.
that was my life.
Yeah.
But then Bruce Lee came along and kind of disrupted a lot.
Ruined all of
Yeah,
that.
he disrupted a lot of that. You know, so there was the Big Boss, and then pretty soon after that, Fist of Fury, which y'all call Chinese Connection.
Yes.
Right. See, because we got
Interesting.
the other thing that we got, because Barbados was also a British colony, as was Hong Kong. We got the Hong Kong names for movies. Right, we didn't get the American names.
Right.
So the Big Boss in the U.S. was called Fist of Fury. Right. Fist of Fury was called Chinese Connection. Right. So y'all are confused.
Yeah.
In some markets, Bruce Lee's third film, Way of the Dragon, was released after Enter the Dragon, and it was renamed Return of the Dragon. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yes. Yeah. In some markets, that's what happened.
What?
Right?
Did you know that?
But it was actually the Way of the Dragon.
That's crazy.
Right? Then Enter the Dragon. Now, but you do know that they started filming fight scenes for Game of Death between Way of the Dragon and Enter the Dragon, right? But then they put that on hold because Warner Brothers called him to do Enter the Dragon.
Right.
So that's why in the final product of what came to be Game of Death, purists like me fast forward to the end.
Yeah.
Right? We never watched Billy Lowe and his crap.
No.
I shouldn't say that.
He's Billy, man. I'm so sorry.
I shouldn't say that. Right? But we grew up in an era of what they call the Bruce Lee, what they call it, the Bruce Lee exploitation movies. Right? There was Bruce L.E.
Yes.
There was Bruce L.I.
Yes.
There was Bruce L.A.I. There was Dragon Lee. There was whatever. And then, there was Bruce Lee Fights Back from the Grave. Bruce Lee in New Guinea.
Yeah.
Bruce Lee this, Bruce, right? And none of them
Bruce Lee.
were the guy.
Yeah.
Right? So that sickened the hardcore people.
Right, of course.
Right.
I remember actually doing that when I was younger. I ordered the wrong DVD.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, well, that's not it.
Yeah, there was a lot of skullduggery, in back in the day with that stuff. So now I forget what I was telling you.
Well,
All right.
There's